What's up, Windwalkers, and welcome to my plus 12 City of Threads commentary guide. Apologies for not posting a video in a few days, I've been quite ill, but I'm coming out the other end now, but you might still hear it in my voice a little bit. Overall, this dungeon went really smoothly. There wasn't a single death, and we comfortably plus 2'd it. Talent-wise, nothing too out of the ordinary, just your standard run-of-the-mill Mythic Plus talents. Anyway, I'll pass it over to the live feed and get us kicked off on the dungeon run. Hello, hello, hello. City of Threads. It's good to be home. I say that kind of sarcastically. I'm not a massive fan of this dungeon, to be honest. I'm not sure what it is about the dungeon specifically. Oh, we do have an engineer. That's something you do want to check before you go into this dungeon, is if anyone's an engineer. I didn't, because
Collect or stand in circle.
I'm a little bit of an idiot, but I don't think it really matters on a plus 12 if you have engineers or not. It obviously helps. You know, you can't deny it helps, but it's not going to be the end of the world if you do not have an engineer. So I like to try and focus the silt vendors here. I think that they're the biggest threat in this entire dungeon. Basically, the start of this dungeon is going to make or break how your dungeon goes. The second half isn't too bad. Once you get past the first boss and you're doing the whole town shenanigan bit, but this starting bit is just absolute hell on earth, to be honest. There's just so much to interrupt, so many casts go out, and they will just make or break your dungeon. So as you can see, I popped every single defensive on this first pull, and my health part and just about everything, to be honest. It's pretty crazy. I am going to Storm Earth and Fire here, because I want the cooldown to be running, and I don't want to be sat on stacks. Plus, it's a nice grouped up pack, so I get a lot of value out of it. Other than that, we're just kind of nuking down everything. I haven't got the most meta group. I'm not too bothered on meta, to be honest. I mean, I play Windwalker, for God's sake. If we can get into a group, then, you know, why not take a priest or a demon hunter? I mean, demon hunters are semi-meta, aren't they? But they're not frost DKs, are they? So that's beyond the point. So this dungeon so far going pretty well. Storm Earth and Fire is coming off cooldown, and we are going through the pack with interrupts. Always one of the scarier pulls, but we have got the engineer buff. God damn, I love it. I don't think I've ever used this engineer buff in this section of the dungeon, to be honest. Oh, we skip. Oh god. Mind Soothe, right? Surely Mind Soothe, yeah. I was gonna Paralysis, but I thought Paralysis can always go really poorly.
Collect or stand in circle.
I don't know how many of you have tried Paralysis skipping, but in my experience, it will either go perfectly or it'll be the worst thing that you've ever done in your entire life, and you feel like an absolute idiot because you end up pulling an entire pack and nobody knows about it until it's too late. That's my experience with Paralysis skipping. Not that they always go wrong. You gotta trust me. Anyway, so far so good. This mage is absolutely popping off. Wowzers. I just made a mess in my trousers. But we're going to go for the boss now. I always find this boss to be the hardest one in the dungeon. I think that there's a lot of last-second movement and dispels that in pugs are generally not coordinated or talked about. So you've got to like make a guess who is going to get dispelled first. I hope it's not the person with an orb directly pointed at my head. But fingers crossed. I am going to use Storm Earth and Fire here because it's the start of a pull. And all my cooldowns are up, and I'm going to get another one up for when I get Zuin. So we're double stacked on each other, never great. I got dispelled first. Had no idea that I was getting dispelled. And it's not too bad, to be honest. Didn't seem to hit anybody, from what I could tell. And now we just kind of move backwards. Usually I would like to Fist of Fury when you do this, because you're always going to hit it, and you can guarantee that you'll be hitting the boss and not getting hit by his horrible purple pool. And then really I just kind of spread out around the boss here, try to get as much room as possible. If you're stacked, it'll be like what happened at the start of this pull. So I'm looking at the orbs here. I can see that this one is aimed directly at me. He's not the one that got dispelled, so it's the other one I've got to be careful of. Dodge that, and Bob's your uncle, we're happy. So he's going to cast this. I'm going to pop a defensive here to get a bit more damage in. We're going to now Fist of Fury as we move. That lines up well. And now we're going to go absolutely
Collect or
ham.
stand in
You've never
circle.
seen a Windwalker go this ham before. No, you probably have in your own dungeons. So spread out again. Try to put a bit of room around you and other players. I am going to pop a defensive here because I don't trust I'm not going to get hit. I didn't get hit. I didn't see it coming. Pretend that I did, though. I'm good at this game. Maybe. Anyway, he's casting again. Pop a final defensive just for precaution, and then move out, and we'll get our Fist of Fury rolling at the same time as moving out. Ideally, we don't get another movement intermission bit, but we might do. I'm not going to Storm Earth and Fire again here. I want to start building stacks up for the next part of the dungeon. I'm going to move to a safe place here, ideally. Didn't move, and I'm in straight in the line. We are going to get one more movement thing, and I think we're going to move backwards. I don't know. I'm going to stand on the tank and pray. So I'm moving back towards the entrance. I don't know if this boss actually has a area where it disappears. But this is kind of theory crafting that. How far can you pull this boss out before he just decides, nah, I'm going to despawn and tank your key? Anyway, I'd say that's the hardest part of this dungeon. The first section of this dungeon is by far the hardest. This bit where you're running around the town and everything, the city, collecting all the people and killing them. It's kind of boring, to be honest. Not much goes on. If you die during that, I don't know what to say. But it's just a little bit dull, not a lot going on, and it kind of messes with cooldowns a little bit as well. So cooldowns on this dungeon are kind of strange because there's so much downtime that is actually going out. You just want to make sure that you dodge the swirlies here. Nothing too crazy, but you can see my cooldowns are back off again. And it would make sense to use them, but it also doesn't, just because of how this ad works. So I'm just going to hold everything for the next ad pack, and then I'll Storm Earth and Fire again as we're running around the city, and then for the final ad pack, I should have everything up once more, just because of all the downtime. It is roughly about 2 minutes or so, give or take. But just using all my cooldowns on this one ad is just a bit of a waste. I don't get much value out of it. Okie dokie. Well, let's play Among Us then. It's not really Among Us, is it? But, you know. Alright, so we're moving up to the first ad pack. I don't really know where it is. I just follow my tank here, like a good DPS. And now we're going to pop everything. And just go absolutely ham. Nothing too crazy with these ad packs, it's just making sure that you avoid the null slam. As long as you have a rough idea of where it is, you can roll out really easily as a monk. You should never really get hit by that. And if you do, you'll know you've been hit by it, because you will just get straight up one shot. Pop Dutch of Death there. We get a little bit extra damage at the end here as well because of that. But we'll also have it up for about the third ad pack as well. So you can see that we've almost used a whole minute worth of our cooldown here. So on this second ad set, we're going to use Storm Earth and Fire again to keep the cooldown rolling. And then we'll use everything just before the second boss. What was that cart doing? Am I crazy? That thing was... that thing was going wild. Alright, so it's now time to find the second ad set. You can see what I mean. There's so much downtime in this dungeon that there's not really that much to talk about. But luckily, it hasn't been too difficult to find everything. I'm going to pop a defensive here because I'm just going to go straight in and I might get something target on me, which I do. And that's just standard AoE rotation. There's really nothing too exciting going on here. Just making sure that we blackout kick when we need to. I know it's glowing right now, but I'm not on 2 stacks. It's not on 4 charges, so you really... Oop. Almost got hit by that. That would have been embarrassing after I said if you get hit by that. It shouldn't be possible as a Windwalker monk. That would have brought great shame to my family. Now you can see what I mean. We're going to go to the third pack now, and I'm going to have all my big cooldowns up. So it's really worth trying to get them all off on that initial pack that you do. If you get them on the second one, you've kind of... Things are all kind of misaligned here. So there is a way of aligning cooldowns for this dungeon, but it just feels really weird. Especially if your cooldowns aren't quite up for that first ad pack, but they should be. Because of downtime, you want to try and make sure that they are in this city area. Otherwise, you're probably mismanaging your cooldowns a little bit. Man, they're making us run for this one. But at least we're kind of near the Executor. Executor? I don't know.
Collect or stand
Alright.
in circle.
Pop it a big defensive again. And this pack's cool as well because it's got 4 ads, which means a little bit more Windwalker damage. Pop another defensive. Put a bit of CC down just to help the boys out. You know, we like to do that around here. And then just focus on the Eye of the Queen. Gonna null slam now. Just gotta make sure we know where it is. It's directly in front of us. And really, there's not much to do here. It's a lot of, you can interrupt, sure, but it's a lot of, it's just healing checks, really. Making sure that your healer can stop dots and damage over time, which is a dot. I don't know why I repeated that. But really, it's just about doing a little bit of damage here and there, and making sure you down these as fast as possible. Oh, I didn't think we got it. Some people did. They almost got hit in the crosshairs. That would have been silly. Alright, and now, for some RP. Because what's better than a dungeon where you walk around for the whole time? Just additional RP on top of it. This boss fight is a weird one. It's not my favourite boss fight in the dungeon. It's probably not my favourite boss fight in the entire season, to be honest. It's just a weird one. I don't like how they dash. It makes it really awkward for a melee. I'm sure range love this fight. They have no problems at all. They just keep casting. But as a melee, you are going insane when they start dashing and teleporting. It's not a hard fight damage-wise, and you shouldn't really be dying on it at all because everything is avoidable damage. But uptime is just an absolute nightmare for uptime. And I'm sure you've all experienced the perils of this boss. Anyway, I'm going to Storm Earth and Fire to start off here because I've got all my cooldowns. And then once I get Zooing up, probably during the intermission bit when they stand over here and go to kiss, that is when I will then once again pop everything. He says, as he considers actually just going, you know what, I've changed my mind.
Jump 3 times.
I'm going to do everything now. I didn't realise how long that RP was actually going to be, and it makes sense to get everything out at the start here. Don't you love it when I say that I'm going to do something and I do the complete opposite thing? Yeah, me too. So we want to try get into a position here where you're not stacked up on people. Popping a defensive is really good for that ice thing because it can absolutely chunk. And then you want to try stand next to this wall or nearby this area so that they kind of glitch out. It's the best example of what I can say they're doing. Like, if you're too close to a wall, they just kind of don't know how to dash. I don't really understand the design mechanic around that or why that works like that, but it just does. Ask Blizzard. So here's when the biggest amount of damage is going to come out in the fight. For the first one, you don't really need to pop any defensives. You should be fine just standing in this. It's when the second one comes out, with the circle that you've got to get out of as well. Now it's worth popping a defensive and just being safe. They're going to start dashing again, so it makes sense for us to try and move them towards a wall, or we're just keeping them in the middle now. It looks like we're just going to keep them in the middle, but you want to try and line up. You can see how all the melee DPS are just kind of sat in this one area together. Oh, it works. Well, you can see how close you have to be to the wall. Oh my god. I did not like my positioning there at all. We're going to save cooldowns here because there's nothing really to be using cooldowns on, and this next set, defensives aren't too necessary. Just for when they shoot out the ice daggers is when you're going to want to be popping a defensive or so just to keep yourself nice and healthy so your healer doesn't have to worry about you. Other than that, once again, just like the rest of this dungeon, it's kind of a boring fight. It's not a very good dungeon. So I'll touch a Karma here just because I want my damage to reflect. You could diffuse magic there instead, but with Karma up, no harm, no foul. I'm very slowed here. I'm going to Tiger's Lust myself real quickly. And now all the damage is coming out,
Jump 3 times.
so we're going to wait for them to get close together. And now pop everything. And that kind of lines up nicely with my Storm Earth and Fire cooldown, so I'm not losing anything. Other than that, the big AoE is coming in again, so we can hold the defensive on the first one. Not massively necessary. Oh, where are we going? Going over here, are we? Pop a defensive now. Just to be safe. But these bosses should die in the next couple of seconds. So, what follows these two bosses? Well, we're coming up to the big ad section. Honestly, it's not too scary, and it is good damage here as well. The only thing you need to be caring about is the casts. Quite a few casts come out. I think they're called Gossamer Bolts or something. You just need to keep an eye on that and make sure you're interrupting them. Are we going to go for the big pull here, or are we just going to the small one? We are going for the big pull here, so it's good to keep an eye on the Marauder and make sure he doesn't cast anything whilst you're grouping everything up. Pop a defensive just to be sure, and then I'm just going to cast everything here. Bring him in, and then we'll leg sweep when they start casting. So we'll leg sweep now. Pop touch of Karma as well, just to make sure that I'm safe, and we'll just focus on this Web Marauder. My favourite part about these ad packs is that it absolutely tanks my FPS, but there's not much you can do about that. As long as I can cast, I'm not too concerned. But you can see these ads aren't really the ones that cast. So Grimweave Bolt, that's the spell I was talking about. I think Gossamer's from another dungeon. Still want to focus on target priority here. We don't have much CC in, but I don't think the majority of these ads cast. If they do, I've got an interrupt. Yeah, Mending Webs as well is what you want to be interrupting. But other than that, these are pretty chill ad packs. The next one on the stairs is where things get a bit hectic, but we have all our cooldowns for that. So it's nothing that concerns me too much. This mage is absolutely pumping. I haven't played with a mage in a while. They're not like Mesa. I mean, I know Windwalkers aren't Mesa, but a lot of the time you don't really see mages and keys. But this guy, he's being slept on. He's absolutely pumping.
Jump 3 times.
Jump 3 times. Perfect. Just what you want. Get ready to focus on the guy we want to. And now go absolutely ham. We have a lot of CC and all our cooldowns. This ad pack's going to melt. I'm holding my AoE CC here because I see that other... When you pug, right, a lot of the time people will CC first. I think it's always good to hold your CC last. Not always the case. Don't take that to heart. But when you're pugging, I find that holding CC and making sure that you're the person that has it at the end, in case people overlap CC as well, you just find that when things need to be interrupted or fully CC'd, people are going to do it. So if you're all doing it at the same time and a pack lasts longer than expected, well, suddenly you don't have anything to stop the ads, and suddenly you're all dead. Detox. Detox is really good for this. You get ready, you detox yourself instantly. Bam, I'm no longer taking damage, and I just need to dodge the swirlies like a good boy. And if I really want to, I can detox a homie as well. So, Storm Earth Fire coming from cooldown again. It wasn't really worth to use it on just this guy. He's pure single target. I'm going to reflect the damage here, and I'm actually going to take this damage, and then... Oh, no, I don't have to detox myself. But it was worth deflecting the damage there rather than straight off detoxing myself. I don't know why it says the dot's still on me. It's not. Okie dokie, so now we've got all our cooldowns for this big pack, and this is kind of just a dodge the swirlies sort of area. It's weird, because the swirlies don't hurt you per se. I mean, they do, but you can get hit by them. You don't really want to, because what happens is it causes additional shadow damage. And when he starts blasting and you've suddenly got like tons of stacks on you for additional damage, you're gonna wish you didn't stand in those swirlies, I'll tell you that. So now these ads are casting. Let's give them a cheeky interrupt with a Ring of Peace. And just get these ads down. So we have all our cooldowns up. We're going to save them for the boss here. I know, crazy. Are we going to save them for the boss here? It'd be so greedy not to. Am I going to be a greedy goblin? Is that really what I want to do? You know, I kind of do. I'm kind of feeling like a goblin right now.
Jump 3 times.
Oh, I can't help myself. Don't try this at home, folks. Sometimes you do just have to be a greedy goblin, because it feels so good to see yourself on those damage meters. Oi, why am I not at the top? There we are. Give him a bit of CC here, and then now we have no cooldowns for the boss. Do I recommend this? No, I really don't recommend this. But does it feel good? Oh, you're damn right it does. It makes sense the Touch of Death there, because now I've got the buff running for this boss at the start. And we are going to use all our cooldowns available on this boss to begin with. Now, this one's a strange one. You do need to be aware that he does a AoE around him. It can be semi-difficult to see sometimes. This will knock you back. If you're running lighter than air, you can jump just before this and then just jump back in. I don't run lighter than air much anymore, unless I'm on a specific dungeon. The reason for that is I actually prefer wind walking. It's not like a crazy amount of movement speed that it gives, but in my opinion, providing your team with any sort of movement speed is good. There is another trick for this boss that I will show you in a sec. It's with these orbs. And Vivify, one of my favourite spells. You know I love Vivify. So you take the orb, and then you Vivify, and if it crits, which it didn't do there, you're actually going to remove the entire dot that you have on yourself. I didn't feel confident there that I had much health, and I still had the DOS on me there, so what I did was I popped the fuse magic to negate that entire effect, and I'll probably pop another defensive on the next one. But it's always good. You don't want to be eating these orbs. That's mostly a tank job, but taking the odd one here and there isn't bad, as long as you then Vivify it to reduce the damage. So Vivify there with a bit of healing, and I am fine. Oh, I don't know if I wanted to take that. See, that's what I mean. The circle comes in at a really awkward time. And now I have all my cooldowns up, and it makes sense to just absolutely pummel this boss now real quickly. Not much damage coming in. He is going to knock us back. That's fine. And then some more orbs coming in. Eat a couple here and there. Vivify yourself. Oh. You can also health pot to remove it if you've eaten a lot. Like, I've eaten a load there, so why not just health pot? Just to give your healer a chance to heal someone else, especially when you have it available. I mean, we have all these resources available to us in this game, and a lot of people don't use them. You just want to get in the habit of actually using what's at your disposal, other than when you die, just sat there and thinking, oh, I wish I used that, I wish I did this. It's better to be proactive. Rather die with all your defensive cooldowns down than die with everything up and wishing you'd used them. So this dungeon's almost done and through. We've got a couple more ads here. I like this last boss. It's probably one of my favorite bosses in the entire season, which is funny because I don't like this dungeon. But I think it's a cool mechanic. It reminds me of Syndra from League of Legends. If anyone's familiar with that, you probably are. Pop a defensive here. We're going to get rooted and then just try and Fist of Fury into the group. The idea here is to not pull both big bosses, so you want to be just on the outskirts so you don't pull them. Otherwise, you're going to want all your defenses up for this, and we definitely don't have them because we've just come out of a boss fight. Yeah, this does hurt a bit, but it's not the end of the world, and you can just Fist of Fury to get a fair bit of damage out here. Interrupt Web Bolt. And I am going to have my cooldowns up, and I am going to use this on this mini-boss. So I'll use them on this mini-boss, and then I'll have them again about the very end of the boss fight. So it just means that I'm getting 2 more uses out of it, rather than 1 more use out of my Zuen.
3 times.
So I'll pop this now, set it up, start our jumping. 1, 2... And now we go all out on him. The reason I use it as well, because it's not all single target. It's single target and AoE. He spawns ads. So it makes sense just to pummel this down. Oh, Lord. The craziest monk swirling Dragon Punch at the absolute worst times. So there is a lot of damage coming out here. It is worth defensiving. It'll be back up during the boss fight. No reason not to, really. Especially as it's AoE damage. It just helps yourself, helps your healer. And now we're going to get ready for the boss. Move out of the tremor real quick for a roll. Back in. Ads are coming. We're going to wait for them to group up. And then we're going to strike the Wind Lord so that we hit more of them. So that we get the passive. Unfortunately, I hit like none of them there. So that's a little bit embarrassing. Ideally, you want to move out in case your healer needs to drink. Because the boss will get pulled instantly. Healer does not need to drink, and we're going straight into the boss fight. So I think this is a really fun melee boss fight, and I think it's melee favored because you're just completely running around the room. If you've got a full melee team as well, it feels really good. Heal myself up so I don't get one shot. Ads are coming in. And now it makes sense to pop a defensive and try and nuke these ads. You need to keep moving. If you're not moving on this boss, you are in for a world of trouble. So the roots are coming in. And we're going to have Fist of Fury up. So I'm going to hold Fist of Fury now real quickly. But Umbral Weave, I'm going to pop a defensive. The moment it comes in, Fist of Fury, and that will help people get out. Orbs are coming in. And that's why it sucks to be a caster. You can see this mage has been absolutely pumping this entire dungeon, but you finally come to this part of the fight and he's like having the worst time of his life. I guess that's how it felt for me for the rest of the dungeon.
Collect or stand in circle.
Now we go absolutely ham. Boss is spawning orbs around it like Syndra. And now we just nuke it down with Lust. You need to keep moving. Always try follow your tank here. Orbs coming in, pop defensive. Touch of death that, and then get the damage boost, and then keep going back on the boss. Keep moving here. Do not whirling Dragon Punch whilst these orbs are coming in. You will absolutely regret it. AoE's coming in again. We do not have defensives for this, so it's time to Vivify real quick. Just keep myself top so I don't die. I'm not hitting the boss in that instance, so it makes sense to do as much healing as I can on myself. And now it's another case of run around. This time I do hit everything with my Strike of the Windlord. Beautiful. He's getting Syndra ulted real quickly. We'll ignore that. Do not stand in that circle if you value your life. And now it's just pop all your cooldowns again and finish off this boss before the timer. And we should +2 this 12. This has actually gone really, really nicely. I'm going to pop a couple more defensives here. Healing pot here because I don't feel too great about my health. Come on, we can +2 this. Oh, roll out the way. I don't want to risk getting hit by anything here. This is a deathless run. This has been so clean, actually.
Jump 3 times.
I'm going to use my trinket here. Oh, no. Vivify here real quick. Oh, okay. A little bit of panic there at the end for myself, but here's the damage numbers for anyone interested. Overall, that was a really clean dungeon. I'm not sure if I chatted a little bit too much rubbish during that. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know. If you have any thoughts or have any questions, let me know as well, and I'll be happy to answer them in the comments. Otherwise, catch you in the next one.